Hey there and welcome to Matt's Garage. Today I'm going to be replacing the fuel pump on this 2003 PT Cruiser. This is a procedure that's the same on all PT Cruisers, but the part does differ for the turbo cars. It uses a higher volume fuel pump, so make sure you order the part for your exact car. Otherwise this video will cover them all. So this is the fuel pump I chose, a Carter unit. Carter's a really good brand, and it was cheaper than getting a Chrysler pump. I think it will be just as good. We will get started actually removing the fuel pump in a moment. It's under the back of the car up inside the fuel tank, so I'll leave a caption for when that work starts in case you want to skip ahead. The more common reason for one of these fuel pumps quitting on one of these cars is actually the ground, which is located right here, believe it or not. That is the ground for your fuel pump. There's a couple of ring terminals under a 10mm bolt down there, and there's about 3 wires coming off of them, just right there. What you want to do is get in there and undo that bolt completely. Take the wires right up here where you have good access, and then you get a little wire brush like that. It's like a little toothbrush size, but those are stainless steel bristles. Clean it up really good with that. Clean down there if you can where the bolt threads in, clean the bolt off, and then put some dielectric grease on everything. A coating of dielectric grease will prevent future corrosion from happening. The fuel pump is just under the middle of the back seat, so you can actually hear the noise the most from here, and you can hear it's kind of a loud whiny noise right now. You normally shouldn't even be able to hear it from in the car, and also the noise isn't consistent. You can kind of hear like it's sputtering. So I'll try and get another clip from outside here and you might hear it even better. It's always nice if the car is still running to run it down. When we decided to condemn this fuel pump and change it, the car was at a full tank. So we drove it a bit more to get it right down, and now it'll be easy to change with less than a quarter tank. Here, I'll just put the camera under the car and maybe you can hear it better. So that's why I'm not even bothering with the fuel pressure test. Normally I would highly recommend that you confirm the problem by doing a fuel pressure test, but in this case we're not going to leave it when it's that noisy. You have other PTs and you can't hear, like this one is completely silent when it's running. You can't hear the pump at all. And I'm just going to get it jacked up really high now. So I'll just show you the jacking locations are just right here. Anywhere under there you can put your jack. Okay, so I have it supported there. I still have the jack on the jacking point there on the other side as well. And you can see I actually put a block underneath my jack. So I have a milk crate here, and that's what I like to do, is jack it up so that it's just a little higher than that, and then I can easily lower the tank onto that and disconnect everything. It just gives a little more room. I am going to disconnect that as a 7mm on the hose clamp there. It's a 15mm there, and one more over here just above the exhaust, so I'll have to get in at that one with a wrench. Then there's just the electrical connections are all up in that corner, and the fuel line hooks up over there and everything. Okay, so a 15mm wrench for this one. And there are some holes here where you could try and get up and get some WD-40 or something on the back side. I'm not going to. I don't think that'll be an issue. But if your car is really rusty, it might be an issue. See, that broke loose real easy. Okay, I just finished getting that out of there. It did take me a couple minutes to work it out by hand, but you can see it's loose now. Okay, so I believe we just have to remove these 2 black plugs here. I don't know, there's another little gray one up here, but it doesn't look like it is connected to the fuel system. I think that's for the brakes. So you do have to get those little red tabs, those safety lock tabs, pushed up like that. It's just a one click like that, and that unlocks them, and now you have to depress the tab hard to do one-handed, and I have nowhere to really set up the camera. Here, maybe this one can do. Sometimes these jam up too, so just push in on the plug a little as you're depressing that tab and then pull back out, see? So safety tab, one notch in, it has to be flush on that end, and then press the tab. Push in on the plug, press the tab, then pull out. It pulls out that end. This part of the plug stays anchored and you pull that out. Oh, but we have to get that anchor off now. Okay, so here are two different kind of tools that you could use in there to get those clips off. I like these clip pliers. So you want to get in behind, and there's a double clip. There's two of them, so I try to work them both out kind of evenly. There's one. There's two. So now we're gonna undo that 7mm clamp. So don't get any of that dirt in there. Get back up in there with an air gun or a vacuum or a cloth or something, and just get rid of all that dust before you. Even just doing that helps. Oh, that comes off nice and easy, but yeah, just give it a twist to break it loose, and then just pull. It's just a barb fitting. Just make sure you have the clamp loose enough. No fuel should come out unless your fuel tank's over half, but don't have your face under it just in case. Now I'm gonna get 2 pieces of shop towel. Just like that. Now this, I think this stays in place, but we'll see in a minute here. There's some slack in it. I think it disconnects after from on top of the tank. So what I'm actually going to do is move my milk crate right under the middle of the tank now. Okay, we are free. And actually the straps don't need to come out on that end. Okay, so we will need to get this vent hose disconnected right here. Can see that. It's just a pull off thing. There we go. Okay guys, I just need to disconnect 2 hoses. The fuel line right here, which has a quick connect on it, and then up here there's just a push on vent hose. Okay, you could disconnect this from either end. It might be easier to disconnect it from the canister here, the charcoal canister. Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, so we just got to get this quick connect off. Sure, now you just pull that off. And you get some gas out of there, so have a drain pan if that concerns you. Just like that. First of all, be aware, I have very little fuel in the tank, but it could spill out here as you tilt it as you're bringing it out, so be aware of that. Okay, so there's our first look at it as it's coming out, and I can right away see there's a mouse nest there. So you definitely want to clean all of this really good before you get the pump out, but this is where the pump is. You gotta take this big lock ring off of here. There is where I unplugged that vent hose from the canister. Okay, well I just went and taped up those 2 vent ports and the fuel line, and I'll get rid of this mouse nest. And then I'm just gonna use an air gun to do the preliminary clean. Now I'm just going to use some glass cleaner just to get rid of the last of any dirt around the fuel pump. Okay, very simple now. We're just going to remove the electrical connector. So again, this little red lock tab has to move till it's flush. So like that, just press in there. And then press in on the whole connector this way a little bit. Depress that tab. And then you should be able to pull it right off like that. Okay, and now for the connector on the fuel line, what you want to do is just take any tool and just press down on it real hard. And that's actually, it presses in, it doesn't pull up. It might look like it's supposed to pull up, but it presses in and then releases like that. Now to get this retaining ring loose, we're just going to use a clean piece of wood and And a hammer, a regular hammer will work too, but if you got a rubber mallet, that's nice. Okay, at this point you should be able to get it with your bare hands. That is loose. Just gonna unclip this. Get that out of there so it's not in our way. The ring off, and I'll just give this another quick wipe. It's just kind of on the O-ring, just working it up. See, that's the O-ring seal there. I believe the new pump came with a new one. Now there is a float in here. It'll hang up. You got to get this part clear and go like that and pull the float up. Oof. It's weird, there's a bunch of metal debris on the strainer there. Oh boy, very dirty in here. Okay guys, it looks like this fuel pump failed due to debris in the tank actually. Anyways, the strainer in the pump is just full of debris, so I'm gonna have to drain this tank out and clean it all out. Okay guys, the tank is all clean and dry. I scooped it out into those containers there and then used shop vac to get the last little bit out. Just be gentle with this float assembly. And then of course we've got a new seal for it too. And it has a lip so it can only go one way. Okay, and of course this orients with the fuel line coming in here and the power plug coming in here. And you'll have to feed that in first, and just make sure there's no manufacturing debris or anything, packaging debris on the outside of the pump here. So you feed that in. Okay, so as long as the ring is down evenly and you can't move the pump, it's probably sealed. It tightens up and you really can't move the ring anymore. So that's where this is at. So we'll hook up the power, lock that in, and then we'll get our line routed back here. Make sure no debris got in it. And now with these, you got to get that clip back so that it will click in. There we go, that's ready to click in now. Just make sure you pull on it and make sure it's fully latched. And then latch it back into there. Okay guys, the new fuel pump is essentially installed. So just make sure that this clip is actually in the up position. You can look into it there and make sure that it's latched past the little barb on the fitting here. And of course pull on it and make sure it's latched. And of course when you pressure this up the first time, you're going to check this fitting and this fitting to make sure neither of them are leaking. One other thing, this plug here wasn't necessary to take off. I had taken that off. You only have to take that one plug off, the one that you have to pry off the underbody of the car. One tip I'll give you is make sure you put some oil or something on the threads of the bolts for the tank straps. That'll just make it a lot easier to reassemble. Okay guys, I was able to get both straps started by hand really easily. Just be careful when you tighten this clamp that you don't overdo it, since it's just plastic. You could potentially crack it. So just kind of gauge it by whether you can still twist the hose on there or not, and you want to tighten it down a little past that point where it stops twisting to make sure it's completely sealed. Okay, everything is installed. We got fuel in the tank, so now we're going to prime the pump. So we just want to cycle the key a few times. Okay, the pump sounds good. So now before we start the car, we'll just check underneath, make sure there's no leaks anywhere, since we just pressurized the fuel system. Yeah, started up perfect. I just wanted to show you guys, you really can't hear the fuel pump now. I'll put the camera right under the tank and you'll see what I mean. See, just the gentlest little hum. That's how it should be. Okay, I just wanted to take a second and explain that you could replace just the pump. It's within this whole assembly. I wouldn't recommend doing that though, because you can see right here, those contacts on the gauge there are very worn. So you could replace your pump and a week later your gauge could fail on you. That's why I went for the complete assembly. This will all come apart here. Oh, there's clips here. Okay, so there's your fuel filter. That's why you don't change your fuel filter in a PT. It's built right into the pump assembly. And this is your actual pump here. So you can replace just that unit. You can probably find one of these for about $40. Okay, well that's all there is to changing the fuel pump in your PT Cruiser. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have yourself a great day.